Okay. So what do you think about the old Joseph versus the young Joseph? There's
Yeah.
from the Proto-Evangelion, the Gospel of Saint James, which is apocryphal, says Joseph was an old man, gray hair, old guy, and he
Yeah.
basically adopted the Virgin Mary from the temple
Yep.
and raised her with his other children.
Yep.
So there's, decades of age between Joseph and the Blessed Virgin Mary. This
Yep.
was, I think, the Eastern Church's way of saying, well, Joseph would never have been sexually tempted because he was just an old guy.
Yep.
Then there's the, I'm going to call it Carmelite, but it's beyond the Carmelite, the Franciscans too, who see Joseph as a young man, vibrant, strong, active, closer in age to Our Lady. Some traditions and private revelations say that Joseph himself was 33 years old.
That's Mary of Agreda, right?
I think it was, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
when the incarnation happened. So Our Lady
Right.
would be 15, 16, Joseph would be 33.
Yep.
And this tradition holds that Joseph, being a young man who was virile, would have received a special grace in the womb, not the Immaculate Conception like Our
No.
Lady,
No.
but a similar grace so
Yep.
that he would have been like John the Baptist, purified and justified in the womb, and that his concupiscence would have been healed and
Right.
removed. His
Yep.
desire for his inordinate desire, so that he would have lived a perfectly moral life from infancy, and that God did this to prepare him for this great task.
Yep.
So I think I know which one you follow.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's yes, the young Saint
The
Joseph.
young
It,
Joseph. Yeah.
but it grinds my gears. I mean, I don't know. I understand there's sort of a we want to make sure everyone believes Saint Joseph like never touched Mary. So I get the sort of human sentiment
Yeah.
why they make him old, but there's some big hitters. I mean, Saint Jerome defended the young Joseph belief.
Yes, he did.
We he explicitly says that Saint Joseph lived and died as a virgin, not as a widower.
Yes.
The early fathers like Saint Athanasius, shout out Saint Athanasius, Saint Gregory Nazianzus, and they taught that Joseph, like Mary, was a perpetual virgin, not a widower.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I mean, okay, so have you ever, when you were in the Holy Land, did they take you through the routes, the two major routes they think that the Holy Family took to Bethlehem? Did they ever
We
explain
didn't
them?
like take them because that would take
Right.
a long time, but yeah, we talked about them.
So there's two major routes, and one is sort of more of a straight path through all the towns and things, which had its own dangers. And then the
Mm-hmm.
one that I ascribe to, once again, people can disagree on these because they're not dogma, but the one is like the Jordan Valley route, right? So this idea that you're actually going
Yes.
around. Now that's what you call the Valley of Death. That leads to Jericho. So when I was writing an article for Fatima Center on that, it was on the Chase Guardian of the Virgin. I imagined, I thought, okay, Joseph is bringing Mary, who is 9 months pregnant, on a mule or a donkey, whatever, which is not a luxurious way to travel. You're pretty much pulling it and walking beside it. It's just
Yes.
to carry your goods. It's
Right.
not for you to have any convenience. And he's descending deeply, and it's known for having very terrible weather, especially at that time of year. Very cold, very foggy. And I think Mary of Agreda, she has visions of them walking through the Holy Land towards Bethlehem, and it's like the demons are relentless around them. And
Mm.
Mary is almost like this monstrance of light going through. It's a very beautiful image.
Mm.
But the point is, you don't hire an old man to take the Mother of God on a journey through terrible terrain in terrible winter weather on the way to Jericho, which you go to Jericho if you want to get robbed,
Right.
and then to descend up out of a valley, which is called the Valley of Death. So it makes that psalm from as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it makes that really come alive when you think of Mary with Joseph in that Valley of Death. And then bring her up a massive hill to get to a city after long days of journey. That's just not something that you hire an old man for. It just doesn't make sense. It's not reasonable to assume that God would want an old man, however virtuous and pious he was, to be the physical protector of the most precious woman ever created.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
And also, I mean, just imagine. I know that there were, you know, older men marrying younger women back then, but kind of
Yeah.
imagine the scandal if Joseph were like 60 or 70 and Our Lady were 15, 16. Certainly that would have
Yeah.
also gained some snickers around Nazareth.
Yeah.
It's odd, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas it makes complete sense if Joseph is a 33-year-old man and Our Lady's 15 or 16. completely
Yep.
in conformity with Jewish custom.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Also,
Good.
I think some of the saints see him as younger too. Even, I mean, the point is he was young and virile and strong and ready to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.